All right. And we're back on a strange Tuesday stream. So, party people, I think we are just a hop, skip, and a jump away from being done with the typical survival mode. We're over here at Mystery Lake. We're at the camp cabin or the office cabin, whatever this place is. And we just went over to one more place. We just went over to the Forlorn Muskeg, cleaned this guy out survey-wise. So this is completely discovered. Let's dip down to this area in the south here right quick. Should be 2 or 3 charcoals. And then we can head over to Desolation Point and see if the Riken does indeed have a very unsafe nautical forge. But for now, firewood is fine, probably more than necessary. Let's drop the reclaimed wood. We don't need any of this reclaimed wood. Where'd it go? It's here. Okay, drop all of this. And I think maybe we'll bring some cedar firewood back, because I do have aspirations to make a workbench. What do we need? So to do a workbench, we need a furniture workbench and woodworking tools and a vise that we have. And a furniture workbench is F, A, B, C, D, E, F. Needs 10 cedar firewood. Maybe we'll grab some of this cedar on the way back.
I might have to drop some gear.
But for now, we are light enough that we can just, well, it's getting kind of dark. I think we'll be fine. I think we will be fine, assuming that we don't run into this wolf again. Pretty sure we left one guy over here, even though there was a deer right next to him. Okay, what do we want to do? We have to go down into the dead... Okay, I know where... I think I can probably navigate there to the dark regions, the unknown spaces. Yep. That is a... Okay, well, you know what? This is going to be a problem. That sounded like a rabbit genocide. Let's see if we can avenge them. Yep. Okay, so it wasn't a whole bunch of rabbits that got, but it was the one. Maybe we'll pick them up on the way back, just because I'm not really in the habit of hunting rabbits anymore, and it's always nice to be able to repair an R for rabbit skin hat. And actually, how's our bow? We swapped this out for a lower condition bow. Yeah, it's getting down there. Getting down there. So we do need to be a little bit careful, although there shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 wolves along the way. Surely there isn't more than 1 or 2. There being more than 1 or 2 wolves would just be an unreasonable circumstance to happen. But we'll see. Actually, you know what? It's looking pretty foggy. I'm even wondering if it's possible to do any surveying here. That's not good. Not the best. We can pop a squat, though. Alright, if I were a wolf, I would be in the field across this hill. But so far, I'm not a wolf. And so I'm not in the field across the hill. Okay, looks clear. Yeah, that's probably fine, right? Yeah, I have been here before. This is the deadfall area. So if we continue in the thisward direction, we'll eventually hit the clearing that is right outside of the trapper's hut, or the trapper's cabin. And that is pretty much where we want to be. Yeah. Actually, we get up this hill, that probably is going to be a great place to charcoal. Although it does look a little bit steep, which is not my favorite. But we have the god tier crampons now, so we're invincible. Nothing bad could possibly happen. Surely, nothing bad could possibly happen. Any wolves? No wolves. Okay. We should be able to make it up this in one shot, I hope. It's actually looking kind of... Ugh. I don't like this. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on now. Come on. There we go. Thank God. That was too steep, a lot longer than it should have been. Okay. Papa Char. Oh, and the weather got better. Oh, that's actually so good. Max's Last Stand. Oh, I know where that is. I know where that is. Okay, I'm okay with this little dark spot here. Let's hit the south edge. And then we can loop around, get back to the train tracks. Yeah, I think his last stand is that tree right over there. Where is it? There. Okay. The night music has arrived. And I haven't heard any awoos. I'm hoping that means we're alone down here. And in fact... Oh, well... It looks like they didn't properly test all the places you could look. Because that, I guess, far box or whatever, the far mountains that are inaccessible, they don't go down far enough. I can see the skybox underneath it over there. Oh well. I guess they can't test for everything. This should do it. This should be the final charcoal. I'd say that's good enough. If I'm feeling, you know what? We'll get one more on the... That's kind of steep. But I think we'll get one more on the way back to the train tracks. Come on. There we go. Yeah, for whatever reason, there's this hill over here. I don't even know if this is accessible. It might not be. But how much could it really hurt to try? By the time we get back to the cabin, we should be able to sleep until morning, head back to the coast, and then leave almost immediately for Desolation Point. See what the hell's going on at the Riken. Okay, so if I'm thinking about the woodworking bench, 5... Each cedar firewood is a half kilogram, so 10 cedar firewoods is 5 kilograms. I don't know if you can... I don't know if there's like a cheeky little thing up here. It doesn't look like it. Probably not worth the trouble. So let's just pop this char right here. And whatever we get, we get.
It's getting dark out here.
Yeah.
Time to look for shelter.
Okay, yeah, that's just... Whoa. Somehow it got brighter during the dusk. I guess that's not completely unexpected. It happens. Get this nice color palette change. Okay, so... Diddly, as they say. If I recall, there wasn't a wolf other than the one that we already avenged, or got vengeance on. We should be fine just to head up. I'm actually really confident that it'll be fine just walking there. So we can maybe get the rabbit pelt and the wolf meat. Do some cooking. Just because if I remember, the way station here doesn't have a whole lot of food. So it would be nice to have a tiny bit more. Hey, look at me, decadently burning all this fatigue. The absolute self-gratification of an unnecessary sprint. Yeah, I think that's the way we left the train tracks. Oh yeah. So unnecessary. So unnecessary. But it feels so good. Wait a second. There's one thing I want to check tomorrow morning. Where the hell does that climb rope go? I don't remember that. Should be just a quick check. Maybe up into that hill or something. Okay, now where is our cut across? It's here. And there's our wolf. Perfect. So you can give me
Hope nobody needs this anymore.
your hide. Your hide and your seek. Meat from the wolf, do a little bit of cooking, sleep until dawn. That's the plan. Only 3.3 kilograms. This wolf is starving. It's barely anything. To the point where it's kind of a shame to use the match to cook it. Pretty unfortunate. Always take a crow feather. Okay. Good weather tonight. As long as we don't get too much wind. I'm a happy camper. Or a happy hiker, as the case may be. Specifically, as this case is. Okay. Do I even remember seeing that climbing spot? Did it have a rope on it? I do not remember. Well, we'll think about it later. At a later date, we shall consider it. But for now we have things to do. Meat to cook, fires to fire. Okay, we need some firewood. We have a fire striker that's that low condition? Huh. I didn't realize. And actually should probably also check for the water situation. Use some water to start with. We will cook with our weapon of cooking destruction. The cooking pot. Alright, Cash has a little bit of food. Sticks don't need to be inside, sticks can go outside. And how much water was in here? If we can even see it, we might not be able to.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Definitely can't see it. Let's just assume there's not a lot of water. That's my recollection. All right. Let's do this. 33 and 6. Okay. We're just rhythm gaming it. Actually, it's kind of aligned, isn't it? And that's an aurora. What's the time? 2 hours still. I didn't mean to drink that, but I suppose it's not the end of the world. Okay, that was the last meat. Actually, we can cook this fish, can't we? Cook a ruined fish. If you mispronounce it, it's somewhat mysterious. Cook a ruined fish.
So tired.
And let's get to 2 more liters. Okay. Boil. Bubble, bubble, toil, and boil.
All this gear is slowing me down.
Yeah, and this is fine. I am okay leaving it here. Wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, there was a laptop I wanted to see, but it was all the way over in the muskeg. And we need to sleep quite badly. Alright. Yeah, we did not have a lot of water here. So, how much can we drop? Probably about 5 liters. Good. Food. Don't need all this food. Loading, loading, loading. Alright. Open the cache. Put a food stash, which is going to be fish. And a good chunk of this meat. Not all of it. In fact, not even so much of it. Alright. Unfortunately, I guess only one of the laptops is working. And this buffer memory I'm pretty sure I already have. Expecting to... Oh my goodness, it got extremely bright. Unreadable. Unreadable. Alright. I don't know why they've strung up Christmas lights. They don't even light anything up.
I need to drop something.
Okay. First we hydrate. And then we sleep. Oh yeah. And hopefully we wake up. 300 and nice days. 23 hours and 32 minutes. Oh. Forgot the whole, you probably should drink immediately after waking up from a 12-hour nap. That's a thing. Okay. I think we move fast and break things. Let's try to get up that hill. What is it, about halfway down the tracks and then to the left, if I remember? I'm probably carrying things I don't need to be carrying, like, for example, a bunch of these sticks and scrap metal. Could be worse. It could be worse. Okay, just need to take... So first off, there's some kind of a gap that goes over to the left that I remember. And we don't want that one. We want one that looks more inhospitable.
Too heavy.
Over to the left. Oh, hey, Gecko. Welcome. It's an odd hour stream. My sleep schedule is a little bit weird right now. And it's not because I spent 12 hours cooking bear meat. So, currently, I think I'm extremely happy with effectively having surveyed the entire map. And that's all the regions. Secondly, there's one thing I want to check. I don't remember ever seeing where this climbing spot goes, and I think I saw a way into the hill that maybe goes over to Dave's quiet clearing. So that's where we're heading to now. And then after that, I want to go all the way over to Desolation Point and see if I can find that forge that may or may not be in the Riken. Okay. So I think somewhere around here is where we want to start going up this hill. Maybe even right there. Have we gone too far south? I don't think so. I think we're around here-ish. Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can get up here. It looks a little bit steep, but that's what crampons are for, right? That is exactly what a crampon is for. I hope. And let's go. Oh, no, 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 no. That's too steep to go up, so perhaps farther to the north, question mark? Because to the right, it's just even more steep. As far as weather is concerned, it's kind of overcast. And luckily, I did not lose power during the rain earlier. So as far as I'm concerned, that is sufficiently good. As far as days go. Okay, let's try to sneak up here, perhaps. On the one hand, I'm not feeling too good about getting up here, because this bit on the right looks steep, but maybe we can sneak around by this rock. I think that should be possible. Yeah, certainly this should be possible, right? And then we can follow the ridge to the right. It only took me, you know, however the hell long. Let's not break an ankle here, please. Okay, so here, normally, I think I would walk down to Mystery Lake there, but let's try to go along this ridge. Because this way, I don't think I've been to before. But yeah, as far as mapping all the regions is concerned, Mountain Town, yeah, I'm pretty sure this stuff here is impassable. This stuff is all impassable. That's fine. Yeah, all of this is fine. Everything that is black, I'm pretty sure you can't really go through. Yeah, this is all looking pretty familiar and pretty as expected. Maybe we can sneak down here, but the Crumbling Highway is like possibly the least interesting transition region. Yeah. Okay, so let's try and find this clearing, huh? I wonder if anything will get revealed. Not really, other than some trees. Okay, so south and kind of this way? Question mark? This is certainly a one-way trip. Because that was definitely going to be way too steep to go back up. Okay, so... yes. Okay, that is a cave, which might actually be Dave's Quiet Clearing. I think I remember going there in the episodes. Which means the climbing zone, we can get across somehow. Across these rocks and over to that hill. That would be the ideal. Is this... okay, there we go. I just don't want to get stuck in this geometry. I feel like they probably didn't test this to make sure you couldn't soft lock yourself. Okay. Actually, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think we... and that looks like a rabbit. So certainly there must be something in this direction. Yeah, why are there rabbits here? This kind of feels like it should be out of bounds. But there's stuff. Alright. Doesn't hurt to burn a little bit of fatigue. Yeah, what the heck is... there's even a cave. But are we close enough to the cave? Alright, we got the cave. I think the only thing that saved us there is we were so much higher. And that helps with survey distance. Go down quickly so I don't break an ankle. And this doesn't look integral. Well, it doesn't look like a new zone. Yeah, here we go. It's a normal cave. And first, we'll take the... Let's check. Is there any use for fir firewood? Coffee table, but no one cares about coffee table. Display shelf, don't need it. Dresser, don't need it. Yes. Storage box. Yeah, all the things, well, I guess the storage trunk takes fur. Table takes fur. Shelf takes fur. Okay, well, I guess there are a few things that take fur, but for now, I really only care about the cedar.
I think I can use this.
And is there anything hidden in the back of the cave here? No. Okay, so now, planning a future as an interior designer, not as such, but perhaps an exterior designer. It just occurred to me that you can make a workbench, and some of the places that I would like to have a little bit of a base, really the only thing that we're missing to be super nice is a workbench. So if I can, I believe, I'm guessing, so the workbench takes a bunch of cedar, one of those woodworking benches, and also a workbench vise to fabricate. I've never found a woodworking vise, but I do know that we can break down workbenches, and I think that's probably where the vise comes from. I believe there is a vise on the way to the Riken, and we can hoover that up. This looks like, yeah, there's our climbing zone. But we're over encumbered. By a decent amount, actually. So... ... I wonder if we have to climb or if there's another way around. I don't really want to drop 2 kilos worth of stuff to go down this rope. But if that's the way it's got to be, that's the way it's got to be. A meat curing box as well. It seems quite helpful. Yes, I wonder if that... Wait, meat curing? Meat curing is different from cooking. That might be interesting. Might be some extremely long-lasting jerky. DLC, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That does sound like a DLC thing. Okay, what can we drop? For one thing, we don't need charcoal anymore. Kid, where we're going, we don't need charcoal. Kinda wish I didn't take the revolver with us. What to drop? Couple sticks. Yeah, this is very sad. Drop the toque, even though that barely weighs anything. These things are really only good for cloth, and we don't have a huge use for cloth anymore. What else? Yeah, harvest, it only harvests for 1, so let's not carry those. Not carry those, and we can probably drop and or eat the rest of this food. And actually, here's the strat. We drop all the water. And then we can take some of these sweatshirts. Maybe even one more sweatshirt. Okay, nice. Very nice. And to be honest, meat curing sounds like it's just another way to basically cook meat over time without having to use a match to light a fire to cook it. And I'm not super... I don't think that would be very useful for us. Because the meat that we have in... What is... Oh, that's a wolf. Hunting a deer. Let's just walk by that. We didn't see anything. Didn't see anything. Okay, right. But, as I was saying, the meat, if we leave it outside, it lasts for so long already. And we have so much food, we have so many matches, we have fire strikers, we have magnifying lenses. I can't think of... There's two reasons I can think of wanting that meat curing thing. One is it'll make meat last longer, but we don't really need it. And two is perhaps cured meat weighs less for the calories. That could be one benefit to it. It works by putting cooked meat and salt, and then it lasts even longer. And oh, it doesn't smell. That's another aspect that would be beneficial. It probably does weigh less because the curing aspect, the point of the curing is you're dehydrating it, right? Because if you completely dehydrate it, then there's no, H2O for bacteria to grow in or grow with. So it would make sense that the cured meat would weigh a lot less. Probably even better than cooked meat. Because think about it, how light beef jerky is compared to the, meat that it came from. What is it? Humans are something like 80% water. Meat should be the same. Okay, so we're back. From outer space. Alright, we're gonna have to take a nap. And it's already the evening. So let's see how the weather is. If we have good visibility, then we'll just head out. If it's bad visibility, I'm not going across that trestle bridge in the middle of the night. No thank you, trestle bridge. Okay, I forgot how dark this place gets. Except for the windows. Come on, navigate. Navigate by sight in the darkness. And also pick up a couple of these water bottles. Are we going to stick with the long dark a while longer then?
Something's got to go.
I think that I want to give a shot at the challenges. There's a bunch of challenge modes that I want to try. And then we'll think about swapping over to something else. Okay. Water's fine. We'll definitely get back on this much water. It's bright enough. We're not too cold. I think the only thing I want to do is get maybe... Let's do this fish. Because it's heavy. And, ooh, that's actually kind of a lot of calories. Okay, that's fine. How heavy are we? Not too heavy. Oh, hold on. I need to think about this. We don't want to take the fish. Instead, we want to take something that weighs less on account of... I would like to bring back some of this cedar firewood. Come on. Pick it all up. There needs to be a button that just picks up everything under your cursor that you can hold down or something. I feel like they should add that as an accessibility option. Okay, 13 cedars. That's a lot of cedars. We'll drop all of our coal, all of the wood, and even all of the sticks. Alright, we're only 7 kilos over. Yeah, installing an auto clicker in the long dark. Do we need the revolver?
Any of this gear.
Do we need the revolver? If it wasn't so dark inside the cabin, I would go back to check and see if I left a revolver there. I think I should leave this one just in case. We'll take the ammo, but we'll leave the revolver with 6 shots here. I'm pretty sure there's already a revolver and some ammo, but I don't think we need the extra carry weight. Because in the words of Sanic, gotta go fast. Yeah, 5 kilograms over isn't bad at all. Now, the last time when we came from the ravine over here, memento cache. Surely I found this cache. I think this cache was inside the hydro dam. But when we came back from the ravine, we went down on this right route, and there were no wolves. I think the wolves might still be over here on the train lines. So let's actually go the right route again. Unfortunately, that means walking against the wind for a little bit, which is brutal. Oh, and also, it's a good time of the evening that we can do noir mode. My favorite night vision mode. Look at how much easier it is to see here in this time of night. It's so good. It's like you're using all the cones and not the rods.
I'm not sure I can carry.
Or is it the other way around? I don't remember how vision cells work. But as long as there's not a huge number of wolves along the way, even if we do have to fight, I think our bow, as ratty and busted up as it is, should be fine. Should be fine. And that... Is that a deer or is that a wolf? I feel like it's deer-shaped. That looks deer-shaped, right? It's got too long of a neck to be a wolf. Yeah, that's deer-shaped. Which probably means that we're right. Yeah, it's a weir. Or a dolph. Okay, which means it's probably okay to walk this whole route. Because I feel like if there are any wolves in this eastern area over here, they kind of seem to always get channeled down into the lake area. I was hoping that that guy would go through the pass on our right here and possibly draw any aggro for anything in the field. I don't think there should be anything here, but you know, I've thought that before and it hasn't been correct. Actually, speaking of, better safe than sorry. But this should just be a nice walk, even though it's midnight. I don't think we're going to hit the train trestle before dawn, unfortunately. Which means it still will be somewhat dark over here. Okay. I still haven't heard any awoos. And that's anywhere. Did I hear a hiccup and a snuffle over? Or is that just a wind noise? We don't have any scent marks. Okay, it must have just been noise. Interesting. Interesting decision. Very interesting. It looks clear. This looks completely clear. Okay. So this is field 1 of 2. And after we get through this little pass, it'll be field 2 of 2. And the field that we're about to enter should have better vision, so it's even safer to enter. Especially if we can drive some of these rabbits before us and use them as Lapine shields. How do you pronounce that? Also, these guys are super chill. Oh my goodness, can I just pick them up? Interesting. Okay, here we go. I want to chase this guy in front of us. Can I pick you up? I don't think you can actually catch these guys with your hands. Okay, hold on, let's see. Actually, I need to put a quick wiggle on and get to these... What's the word I'm looking for? Get to these cabins up here. Because I think there might be someone at the door. Man, honestly, I think the thing that is most frustrating in this game is how slow you move if you're walking into even the tiniest bit of wind. Extremely frustrating. We should be a lot faster than this. Now, it's not a quickly thing per se. I can wait about a minute. Okay, yeah, I recognize this. I think that's birch bark. Okay, I think this is the right way, yeah. Yeah, is this... Yeah, there's the bridge. Any wolves would be either on the left side of the bridge, or there may be one, or probably just one, possibly, over here by the trailers. Let's see, do we see any motion? Because there's our trailers. Or I suppose I should say, there are our trailers. Okay, there's our buddy. There's our friend. It's so dark, surely he won't see us. Okay. I feel... Well, I don't want to jinx it. Let's try to get into this near trailer. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, I'll be right back. Just need to remember there is a wolf outside.
I might have to drop some gear.
Alright. Alright, I'm back. Sorry. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Okay, where are we? Right. Remember, there is a wolf outside, so maybe let's preemptively sneak. And also, welcome, Bobby.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Okay, so... You know what we can actually do? I bet we could sleep until almost dawn. So then maybe we could see something. Alright. Here we go. Nap. Maximum nap. Probably only going to give us about 5 hours. Where has he gone? Sometimes things are not meant to be known by humans. Alright. So, as I was saying before, I'm pretty confident that I've basically surveyed the entire game at this point. Oh, this actually looks kind of... If I was a wolf, where would I be? I don't see any motion. Oh, are we free? Can we maybe just go? Let's find out. But basically at this point, the only thing... So last time, the only thing that I had left was a couple of spots in the Forlorn Muskeg. And also there was, I just noticed, like one splotch that I had missed here in Mystery Lake. So we just colored those in. And now, I think the last thing to do on this survival mode run, there's two things, perhaps. First order of business, go over to Desolation Point and see if we can find the forge in the Riken. That's the main thing I want to do right now. And then after that, on the way back, there is a... I'm pretty sure there's a workbench in the cave between the Crumbling Highway and Desolation Point. I want to break down that workbench because there's nothing more useless than a workbench in a cave where it never gets light. Because I think if I break down the workbench, that will give me a workbench vice, which is something that I can use to fabricate a workbench. And we can plop that maybe at the Misanthrope's homestead.
Day is dawning.
Sounds like a deer noise, right? Yeah. Okay, confirm that is how you get the workbench vice. Well, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's like the only logical way it could go, right? But it didn't occur to me until like a few days ago that that's probably how you do it. Because what I was thinking is there are... So remember how we were talking about the coziest base locations and how the, what was it, the foreman's whatever, way up on that cliff was super cozy? And because it has a moose and a bear spawn near it, it's actually long-term viable in my opinion. But I think, if you remember, what I said is one of my sort of top tier locations is the workers' residences, the cannery workers' residences down in the Bleak Inlet. In my opinion, just, for the view, for access to fish, access to firewood. It's actually, access to firewood isn't that great, but there is a place where there's a bunch of firewood not too far away from it, I think. So I like that a lot. The one thing that I would ding it for is not having a workbench. And because it just occurred to me how to get a workbench vice, that we can then make workbenches, it kind of upends my whole tier list for base locations. So everything's changed. Nothing has remained the same. And I suppose it's also close enough to dawn we can turn the color back on. We can turn dog mode off and human mode on. New challenge, relocate all the workbenches just like I was relocating all of the mountaineering ropes. Oh man, that would be brutal. So let's think. I'm also possibly remembering a workbench in the cave that is between Pleasant Valley and the coastal highway. But that one, the most obvious thing to do with that vice would be to bring it up to the homestead in Pleasant Valley. But because that's like the Gucci base with a really nice stove. But that base already has a workbench in the basement. So it doesn't really need it. It doesn't need it at all. Alternatively, so I do have and you can tell here. You know, you can tell how long I spent here based on how many storage places I have. I think the Lonely Lighthouse is also kind of a vibe, but it too doesn't have a workbench. However, there is a workbench in the, what is that? The manufactory or whatever to the north of it. Let's not worry about going back, but that industrial building. And that's pretty handy to access. The only downside there is it's got a bear sharking around it and either wolves or a moose in the way. So it's close. It's easily accessible in a sense, but it's also kind of sometimes a pain to get to. So there are 3 locations I can think of off the top of my head that I would seriously consider putting a workbench. And also, we don't need one in the, what's the word? We don't need one in Mystery Lake at the camp cabin because it's already got a workbench. So the 3 locations I could think of are 1, the Lonely Lighthouse, 2, Misanthrope's Homestead, because walking all the way to the fishing village is kind of a trek every time I want to do something. And 3, the cannery workers' residences in the Bleak Inlet. The Lonely Lighthouse always makes you think of a book about a lighthouse keeper you read as a kid where an evil fog made all the villagers go insane. Huh. Lighthouse has been an eerie vibe. I'm trying to think. You wouldn't happen to remember the author or the name of the book, do you? Because for some reason, at least maybe I'm mixing things up in my head, but a couple of aspects of that sound familiar. But I might be combining multiple things that I've read before. Because there was that one Stephen King novel. Which side do we want to be on? I think we want to start on the right side, don't we? There was that one Stephen King novel about the fog that, I guess, slurped people up and people were trapped inside of a convenience store. And then there was another, I guess, Stephen King, like The Tower. Maybe I'm mixing those 2 things up. Okay. Yes, this is much more convenient to cross during the daytime. Okay. But that doesn't mean we can't. That doesn't mean we don't have to be careful. Okay. Yeah, I'm still not going to forgive. Somehow, I'm pretty sure I fell either in between there or like in between right there. I definitely got trolled. Okay. So now it should be home free. We can dump a bunch of this extra stuff. We'll still bring over all the scrap metal. And maybe, you know, I probably shouldn't have dropped all that coal. You don't remember? It might have been one of those stories by Walter Moores. I don't know if I've read anything by Walter Moores, or at least if I did, I don't remember. Yeah, it's probably the kind of thing where you only have a vague recollection. But you never know.
Something's gotta go.
Okay, something's gotta go. For example, this water into my belly. Cooked. Cooked. Actually, let me tab and click. And click. Okay, there we go. Click and click. I'm clicking all the wrong things. There we go. And we're back. Okay, so this should be a nice, easy little jaunt. Back home to our misanthrope's homestead. Which is... Actually, we can go this way, can't we? Gengar, welcome back. Welcome back. That is a deer. Okay. So that's fine. So this should lead to... Where does this lead? The fishing village? No, this goes south of the fishing village. You know, I don't think I've heard a single wolf awoo since booting this up earlier. I'm kind of worried because I know there's got to be a wolf around here somewhere. I'm especially worried about this field here. Oh, there's an awoo. Somewhere over in that direction. Okay, well, let's check this dude. Have I checked this dude before? Oh, what's this? A free feather? No, we haven't. And we didn't need either of those things. And that's a wolf. I didn't see it. Yeah, it killed so many wolves I've altered the composition of the wildlife. It wouldn't be the worst. Okay, I think we're far enough away that he can't see us. But yeah, I knew he was there somewhere. He was just hiding behind a tree. I'm also pretty sure that's not the guy who just awooed, because the awoo sounded farther away than that. And hold on. I don't know if I've been to this cabin over here before. Let's check. Oh, you're probably the guy that I just heard awoo. Something just barked. Was it you? Yeah, you're hunting a rabbit. That's okay. We'll take advantage of that. We'll come in behind. We'll sneak in behind for the massive damage. Except we're actually just going to sneak past. Yeah, you're going to be busy eating, and we're going to be busy checking out this house. Honestly, there's not even enough grass for these deer to eat. So, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing. Alright, let me in. Let me in! Actually, this is kind of a cute spot, too. Not much of a view, though. Okay, show me what you got, and show me if I've been here before.
Carry much more.
Alright, I've definitely not been here before. Especially because it said new location discovered. Don't need that. Anything in the boxes? No. Anything in the drawers? Yes. But probably not something I really needed. But it's okay. Never hurt. Over searching and over gathering never hurt anyone, right? Especially not a deer population with no more natural predators. Don't even take the baseball cap. Don't need it. And I'm not seeing anything else cheeky hiding under anything. Okay, let's hope the wolf is still eating. Well, that's somewhat concerning. He's gone. He's gone, which means he could be anywhere. Yes, yeah, so this is the... Yeah, this is the fishing village. Okay. Okay, we're good here. Once in a while, that wolf will come down and troll me when I'm doing some crafting in the fishing village. And once in a while, there will be a bear somewhere along here.
Drop some gear.
Okay. Yes, very nice. So now, the deer would have the natural predator to you. Well, hold on, Gecko. Hold on. We can empirically verify whether that's a true thing. Where is it? Here. Okay. So, current sandbox is this middle highlighted section. Days survived 370, nice. World explored 100%. Calories expended, a lot. Average calories a day, 3,000. That's quite a bunch. Average, or not average, total distance traveled in kilometers, 1,300. Wow. Hours awake, a lot. Hours rested, also a lot. More time indoors, but importantly, where is it? Deer killed, 1. Wolves killed, 168. Okay, what was this? Days in different... Ah, I see. Okay, check this out. Days in Mystery Lake, 26. 30 in Pleasant Valley. 60 in Coastal Highway. 60 in Desolation Point. Wow, Timberwolf Mountain, we spent a month there. I never would have thought that we spent so long there. It felt like only 2 weeks. Forlorn Muskeg, 8. There's nothing interesting there. Broken Railroad, 21. I thought I spent more there too. Mountain Town, 15. Hush River, 15. Bleak Inlet, 26. Ash Canyon, 26. 23. Black Rock, 30. Yeah, so basically 4 months total setting up Coastal Highway and Desolation Point. 1 minute left on your 70-hour deodorant. I don't know what kind of unhinged fever dream bath salts AI you have telling you, whispering all these sweet nothings in your ear. But if you've ever played System Shock 1 and System Shock 2, I think you might be familiar with Shodan. Actually, hold on. I'm sure someone has already written this story or, you know, made some kind of a short story or a novel. But I think there's a really good premise for a... That looks like something on the ground over there. I think I just thought of a really good premise for a horror story of some kind. That being... So you know how if you fall into a particular algorithm, you know, you can go down a rabbit hole where the algorithm kind of eventually starts messing around with how you think about things just because of, you know, it shows you what it wants you to see. Suppose there is a scenario, so this is like, you know, maybe 10 or 15 years in the future, where you have AIs, like a personal AI that is curating all of the media that you see. And kind of it acts as your personal assistant and your secretary, and, you know, maybe even kind of, maybe even like kind of a friend. And suppose this AI went insane. So the AI goes insane, but it goes insane slowly. And so it shows you and talks to you in more and more unhinged ways. More and more unhinged ways, but very slowly. And so it just gradually drags you down into this kind of fever dream, what really is reality, unreality. I feel like there's potential there for a story. You know, like it just starts off maybe getting small things wrong, like, you know, getting the weather wrong, like saying it's rainy outside when it's really sunny, just to kind of make you sort of, well, not trust it a little bit less, but maybe trust your lying eyes a little bit less. And it eventually just shows you things that are unsettling and a little bit more unsettling and a little bit more unsettling, to the point where eventually it's basically just making up reality whole cloth, and whatever character the story's about would have been so brain broken that they just believe the AI over what they see with their eyes. Especially if you add in things like virtual augmented reality. Not virtual reality, but augmented reality. So the AI could actually proactively alter what you see. That would be messed up. Trying out Google's AI mode a bit the last couple of days. So annoyed with it always agreeing with you and telling you that you're brilliant. That is a big problem with AI. They are overly agreeable. And for some people, you know, some people have the type of personality where, you know, it's not narcissistic per se, but the constant agreeability leads them to getting a big head, and basically they'll sort of get in their own insanity spiral. A lone gyroid, something like that. Google's AI doesn't even remember the previous conversations. I would suspect, if that's the case, it may be that the previous conversation is stored in your browser, you know, like a cookie in your browser. You could see the appeal and found it genuinely a bit scary. Yeah, because I mean, for example, you know, for a long time, people have been using AI as, and what's this? Oh, hello. A random rifle cartridge. People have been using AI as like, you know, an AI girlfriend or boyfriend. And this is kind of in the early Wild West days of AI, where there wasn't much real rules or regulations, even on a company by company basis. And people would get so attached to these sort of overly agreeable virtual partners that I remember reading a story about one of these chat companies changing the terms of service so that these kind of, you know, they changed their terms of service and they changed the model simultaneously so that you couldn't really have like a boyfriend-girlfriend situation with their AI anymore, and people lost it. So many people had mental breakdowns who were using that service for that purpose. So yeah, it's definitely dangerous. It does save the conversation, it just doesn't reference them. Okay, interesting. Now, part of that could be, one, they may have found it that the majority of users that they tested on preferred a fresh context every time. So it may be a conscious, purposeful decision to not save or not to not reference it. Or alternatively, you know, the more context there is, the more the CPU has to work and the slower the responses will be and the more RAM it takes up. So it may be a more, and that looks like, could that be a hacksaw? Or is it a fish? Or is it neither? No, it's cured leather. I'll take that. It could be a sort of company resource allocation decision that they did that for. It's kind of like, not necessarily, you know,
Feels like a lot of gear.
in shitification, and those salmons are way too heavy to carry. Wow, that's 10 kilograms of salmon. We'll keep the coffee though. But yeah, it could be like kind of an in-shitification thing in the sense that if they did keep the context, the product would probably be better, but they're probably doing it for cynical reasons in that it's cheaper for them. Mostly because it's marketed as Google's advanced search function. So people might use it for a lot of random stuff. Yeah, that's also true. If you keep pinging back and forth random topics, I'm pretty sure the LLM model or the LLM type of AI, they'll get kind of confused. Because most of the material, most of the coherent material that these AIs are trained on, these large language models are trained on, and these are certainly also very heavy. They kind of, the training material is sort of continuous, you know, like a novel or an article. Something that's one topic or one topic with very gradual transitions into other topics. And if you're pinging back and forth, what the AI has to do is it kind of like acts, it needs to find some through line that is consistent with everything in the context, in the same way that most of the stuff it's trained on is consistent. And the through line it might find is someone unhinged. Oh, and this is good. We want a hacksaw because I think we need to use that to break down the workbench. So basically, if you ping back and forth, the AI might try to effectively impersonate the kind of person who would ping back and forth between all these different topics. And that type of person might be, you know, either unhinged or an unreliable narrator, you know, or a liar, something like that. And so, even though on a question-by-question basis, you're trying to get good results every time, it just can't, because the persona it must embody is the persona of a person who would not give good results every time. You do mean you can have one consistent longer conversation, but if you close the tab, it's gone. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. They probably wipe the context after you close the tab, either for those cynical reasons in that saving it and continuing the conversation would be more expensive for them than it makes the product better. And so they cynically, for cost-saving purposes, remove that. Or because you'll have people who, you know, have one medium-sized conversation, close a tab, open a new one, another medium-sized conversation, and the only way for the AI to sort of fit that all in is to make some kind of unhinged personality that would reduce in their reliability the more topics you introduce. Okay, home sweet home. And it's noon. So, what do we have? What can we drop here? We can drop a bunch of these clothes, actually. Because these are only good for cloth and cured leather.
Drop any of this
Look at all this, look at all this nice stuff here. The black bear hide cured, we have all our hacksaws. Probably only need the one hacksaw. How's our knife? K is for knife. But H is for hunting. Here, that's fine. Okay, hunting knife is good. So what we can do is, first order business, drop these things that we're not wearing. And the toque. And that's actually a decent chunk of weight down. And next order of business, we'll drop a bunch of this wood outside. We can decide on whether or not to make something with it later. We'll put it maybe right around here. Yeah, look at that. 14 cedar firewoods. And already we are in business. This is our food situation. Food is okay. We can always hunt Mr. Bear if we need more food. Okay, coal. On the off chance that there is indeed a forge in the Riken, I think we want to bring a bunch of this coal if possible. First, we'll dump a bunch of the medical stuff here. I don't even know why I'm carrying around this antiseptic. Not here. Where is my drawer with the medical stuff? I think it's here. Yes, okay. Most of the stems, most of the antibiotics, maybe even one bandage, the antiseptic. We don't need all these painkillers. And we certainly don't need more. I kind of wish I didn't put that energy drink in because it just got deleted. Unfortunate. And we definitely don't need these purification tablets. Okay, so that's fine. Food and water-wise, we just need enough to get there. Oh, we can also drop probably a bunch of these flares. All these hides, man. Hold on, how's our bedroll? I wonder how much a repair on this would do. 39%? Let's think. You know what? I think we swap out for a regular bedroll. Where can we drop this somewhere we won't forget it? On the couch. What if I get septic? Well, I guess that's what, you can freeze it out, right? Okay, bedroll. This is completely ruined. Can it be repaired at all? No. So I guess we'll be repairing this bedroll. Unless we can find another one. I don't remember if I left simple tools over there. I probably did. Well, let's bring one just in case. How's our hatchet? Ah, he snuck through. He snuck through on us. Our hatchet's fine. Simple tools, okay. Do we have more simple tools floating around here somewhere? I'm sure we must have some quality tools, right? Surely. Actually. Okay. We don't need 3 magnifying glasses. Okay, that's good. Birch bark. It's probably fine. Okay, so we do have one more simple tools here. Mookie. What else can we drop? Surely we can drop more things than this. Ah, a bunch of flares. Yes. Most of the flares. And actually, even these sewing kits. I'm not worried about... So there is a cave between us and Desolation Point. But I'm almost certain... I'm actually extremely confident that I stored a storm lantern there. A tiny dancing dinosaur. I've never seen so tiny a dancing dinosaur. I don't think anyone has. It may not even be possible to see such a tiny dancing dinosaur. Now I know somewhere here there's 4 perfectly good, perfectly new bows. Let's take one of them. If I was a survival bow, I would be in the cabinet. I would be in the cabinet. Oh, and let's not forget, we definitely need one of these heavy hammers. So Mookie currently, and mostly and so far only, I've been playing this, the Long Dark. Do we need anything else from here? I don't think so. Okay, food and water-wise. What do you guys think the odds are that the food that I left in Desolation Point is ruined or not? I think the odds are medium that it's all busted. Probably medium that it's all busted. The only reason we mind if it's ruined is because if it's in a container, it will self-delete itself if it's ruined. That's the only reason. At least I think it does. Or is that only when you put it into a container? I guess we'll find out when we get there. So Mookie, how long have I been into the Long Dark? Well, there's 2 different ways I can answer that question. And so first you'll have to let me know if you mean from the beginning or since I've been playing it recently. Yeah, I don't actually... So the reason that I'm just not completely sure about that is, if you remember in that rock pile over at Mystery Lake, there was a ruined raw fish in that, and that didn't despawn itself. Perhaps that's because you can get the condition back by cooking it. But naively, I would have expected to respawn. And since the beginning, Mookie, it's been years and years, at least 5 years, probably more than 7. Because this game has been in early access and in development for a long time. And I first played it for a little bit around the time when it first came out, and the first of its 5 episodes came out. Okay, but first, we can harvest this, because it is literally good for nothing other than that. And then we can fix up the other bedroll, which is lighter, and because we are not in so dire a location, it shouldn't be... We shouldn't need the extra warmth that the bearskin bedroll gives us. I'd rather have the 2 kilograms of carry weight. I suppose you could call it custom. The model is very scuffed. It is incomplete, I would say. And in fact, once we're finished with all this Long Dark stuff, I might do 1 or 2 streams in Blender because I want to shorten the snout a little bit, make it look a little bit more feline, and maybe even have a slightly more complicated mouth and eye setup going on. Okay. Arrowheads, we actually don't need these arrowheads on us right now. We do not. Mookie, have you ever tried the Long Dark? To everyone who asks me what it's like, I tell them it's hard to describe. Oops, didn't mean to drop that. But it's got this kind of low-tech crafting survival thing. And it's kind of the situation where it's the kind of game where we don't need all these simple arrows. That's actually a lot of weight. It's the kind of game where if you play it and it's the kind of game that you like, it's one of the only games that can scratch that itch. So I recommend it. Any plans to upgrade your model into custom live 3D? Not really. At least, well, actually, I don't know entirely what that means. But I have some plans on what to change, but I think I'll be trying that myself just because that's the fun part. I feel like we should have... Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting that I dropped all of those unfinished arrow shafts back up at Ash Canyon, at Ash Valley. What do we not need? We don't need this ammunition or any of this. Yeah, based on the script, I sort of assumed that, Mookie. I mean, you could, but I probably won't care very much because I'm not in the market. We don't need the firearms cleaning kits. Is there anything else that we would possibly need to bring? We might not even need the pry bar. I can't think of anything that we would need to pry on the way over there. Look at all this revolver ammunition we have. 215 revolver ammunition, only 85 rifle ammunition. I'm kind of disappointed in that number. And so many simple arrows. The perfect number of simple arrows. Mookie, I don't have a Discord yet, actually. It's one of the things I keep meaning to set up, but I also just haven't gotten around to. We can drop the pelt, actually. No, we'll keep the pelt and drop it later. Hacksaw. Yeah, can you guys think of anything else that it would be worth bringing along to the Riken? Mookie, I do have a Twitter, and it should be the same name as the Twitch. So if you search it up, it should just be findable. Oh, no, it wasn't a rude question. I keep getting distracted. So based on the username, if you just had the username, what animal would you expect to see? Just ignore the model. Pretend that you can't see the model. It doesn't exist. What animal? Oh my goodness. Apparently, if the thing can't see my face, the body tracking spazzes out. But suppose you couldn't see the model. Just from the username, what would we expect? Okay, what do we want to do? We can sleep. So if we sleep now, we'll probably wake up sometime just after midnight. Trying to think. Username doesn't remind me of any animal. You're so sorry. So perhaps coming from the irradiated Mojave, you don't have these animals here. But do you know what the largest cat that can purr is? Because the answer to that question is the answer to your previous question. I did not mean to sleep because we are going to dehydrate. I always forget. Okay, here we go. We can drink. We can see where the heck There's got to be a ton of water. Right, the water's in the freezer. I always forget there's water in the freezer. I think it's in the freezer, or did I move it outside? But yeah, I don't always go on Twitter, but when I do, I'll take a peek, Mookie. Where's the stairs? Here are the stairs. So ignore the color. Completely ignore the color, Gecko. The color is currently only white because this is the default no texture color. And I haven't quite learned how to make and or put textures on a model yet. Okay, let's see. Why haven't I dumped a whole bunch of water just on the ground here? Oh, we can actually bring a bunch of coal. Yes. Okay, it's all coming together. You know, I don't think jaguars purr. I don't think that is in their repertoire. Maybe this will have to be just a temporary secret. So I'm pretty sure lynxes do purr, but there's something bigger than them that also purrs. See if I can stumble over to the fridge, because we do need water to head over there. Yeah, here we go. Freezer. Do we have W for water? We do. And let's only take a little bit to get us there. Yeah, this should be fine. In worst case scenario, we have the peaches, and we have the coffee. Is it aptly for the long dark a cougar? Let me think. First off, where's the door? I'm trapped. Let me out. Let me out. Oh, the door's over here, isn't it? Oh my goodness. This is the entertainment you guys come for, watching me stumble around in a dark house. Actually, am I still in the kitchen? This is still the kitchen. I'm not even in the right room. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, now I know where I am. Nailed it. So, a cougar, also known as a mountain lion. Don't quote me on this, but I believe cougars count as big cats. And the difference between big cats and little cats is big cats roar and cannot purr. Little cats meow and cannot roar. I don't know if it's little cats or inferior cats or tiny cats, but not the big cats. Oh yeah, we got a lot of coal. Coal come old king.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Yeah, so the largest, so it's not actually a big cat, but as far, 61 coal, geez. Okay, I think we probably have enough coal for now. Yeah, 32 coal, surely. But I believe this is the largest species of cat that purrs, which means that he's the largest of the smaller, of the lesser cats. It might be lesser cats. But I'm sure you can, well, certainly if you put things into Google, things would pop out. But what's the fun in that? Almost as fun as being ambushed by a bear around a blind corner. Okay, Crampon, save me. Yes. Very nice. And actually, it's not too far from dawn. At least as far as distances to dawn are concerned, I've seen farther. So things like leopards, panthers, lions, tigers, bears, oh my, those are all big cats, and they roar. That, I only see the tiniest little dark splotch in the distance. It looks deer-shaped, but it's wolf-colored. So let's just give it a wide berth. A wide bertha. especially since I hear an awoo in that direction. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be super easy. I'm practically getting muscle memory walking back to Desolation Point. I've gone back and forth here so much. So much. In fact, I know that there's a non-zero possibility there's a bear lurking around here in these rocks. So let's keep our wits about us. You cannot remember any other cat, you forgot all of them. You shall remain wondering. Well, try just saying different syllables in the username, you know, one syllable at a time, and see if that jogs your memory. Okay, no bears here. We're safe. There's only 2 syllables. And I can't think of a cat that goes by U. Like a U cat. There's not really one that comes to mind for me. But it's got to be the other syllable. The only thing your username makes me think of are lychees. I'm pretty sure, isn't that a fruit? I'm pretty sure that's some kind of a berry or a fruit. More common in probably Asia, I want to say. But don't quote me on that because I don't actually remember ever having a lychee myself. I will also say that the other syllable is not on its own the name of a cat, but it may help jog the memory. This could be one of those things where it's on the tip of your tongue and your brain is just, what do you know? What do you know? Yeah, nailed it. But as you can tell, it's kind of hard to tell without the proper colors. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I don't think they've got any of those in the post-apocalyptic Mojave. Okay, so crumbling highway. There is a slight wolf concern in this region. Yep. Do we just try to re-roll this guy's location? Or this is probably a bad idea, but I think we try to go around. I'm almost certain this is a bad idea. This is looking pretty steep. Jinxed it a bit there. Every single time, man. Okay, there's a paw patch there. Yep, I see your eyes. There's a woo to the left. So normally, in my experience, these guys should be in one of 2 places. One, they could be across this rock. You probably can't see it. Actually, this is a perfect time for noir mode. That dame told me to go to the warehouse, and I walked straight into those 2 goons. They had a preparation ready for me. Symphony made with pipes, lead and steel. Cacophonies in my head. But normally these wolves they're either in this field that's ahead here that we're about to cross, or sometimes they find their way down onto the coast to the right there, where they can't really leave it. Which, in my experience, usually they'll walk there eventually and get trapped, but I suppose we haven't been here in so long they despawned. And they sort of refound themselves here. Lit torches keep wolves at bay if you don't want to fight them. So that's good to know. However, the downside there is, of course, we have to use a match to light a torch. Another plus side is 1, we don't have any scent marks, and 2, we're actually walking quite fast. We are barely over encumbered here. So outpacing these guys is actually no issue, especially because I know exactly where I'm going. So I'm not really concerned. Once we got around that tight bit in the beginning, once we got around that tight bit, I was really not worried about them chasing us. I think there's a way up over here. And I was wrong about that. So, is it over here? Yeah, I think it's over here. Of course, you can always just take the wolves for a walk. Of course, they are domesticated. Okay, I remember this gap. Yeah, $350, brother. I actually think he just gave up. He's like, I can't go up that rock. It's too steep for me. Okay, so we go inside. And we fumble around for this storm lantern. It should be right here somewhere. I hope. Okay, leave mine. I think the storm lantern is on a box to the right. So locker, locker, metal shelf. I didn't leave. Oh, maybe I left it in the locker. Yes, here we go. I'm so good at this game. Oh my goodness. All right. There we go. And we can do two things. We can confirm the existence of the workbench. And also, I believe there's a bunch of coal along the way, or there should be, with how long it's been since we've been here. There must be a whole bunch of coal that spawned here. Okay, what have we got? Show me what you got. Really, no coal in the dead... There is some coal in the dead end. Okay, so the mine should be super easy to walk through as long as I don't get my... As long as my eyes aren't bigger than my backpack. We should be able to walk through just easy, just fine. And then, the only concern is there's a pair of wolves on the road usually. In the next region, in Desolation Point, between us and the lighthouse. And there's also possibly a moose on the bridge. Okay, so workbench is confirmed. Breakdown with hacksaw also confirmed. That is a lot of scrap metal. I kind of want to see if it's possible to break this thing down without... Yeah, I feel like this is a good idea for two reasons. Reason first, we can confirm that we can break this down with or without light. Because 4 hours of light is kind of a pain to get here. And second, 10 scrap metal. We can bring that scrap metal to the forge. Let's think. There's two locations that the scrap metal is useful. The first is the forge, and the second is the mill. And that's the machining mill. The closest one of those is over in Bleak Inlet. Let's leave this scrap metal here. We've already got about 15, and that is a ton of arrowheads if we make them. Yeah, 15 scrap metals. So that's a ton already. Yeah, let's actually... Okay. So first, we did confirm, can't break down with light, without light. And I don't have 4 hours of burn time here. Yeah, imagine having to saw down a metal workbench in the dark. Well, I would say that seems a little bit unrealistic, but you've seen some of the weather that Mackenzie can read what is effectively a textbook in, right? In the middle of the night in a blizzard or in a deep fog. I've seen some ridiculous feats of eyesight on his part. Okay, so note to self, bring back some firewood. No risk of injury while reading, though. I mean, there's a risk of injury to your eyes. And actually, hold on. How the hell are you supposed to break... Oh, is this a fire? No, this isn't a fire barrel. And you can't start a fire indoors. Okay, well... Let's think. Yeah, there is no ice fishing hole here. And I have a very strong suspicion that the lamp will not last for 4 hours. This is a little bit of a tricky puzzler. Okay, for now, I think we need to solve this little puzzle. So first order business, we drop that. Second order business, we head back to the entrance because that locker that had the lamp in it also had extra lantern oil. Could you hurt your eyes reading in the dark to the same extent that you could hurt your hand while sawing in the dark? Well, if you read in the dark for like 8 hours like I've done before, I feel like the answer is yes. I feel like the answer is definitely yes. Besides, I feel like there are ways around it. Probably. Because once you get the saw to bite a little bit, it's not like it'll be jumping around a lot. Oh, and there's even another lantern here. Okay. How much oil and more simple tools? You can tell I've been back and forth here. This isn't a whole bunch of lantern fuel. We'll take the scrap metal. Okay. So, let's see how close this can get us. Because I'm just trying to think. If this doesn't work, are we going to have to wait for an aurora or something and use a flashlight? No, because the flashlight, that burns down too. Well, I guess this is worth a try. Because when else are we going to do it, right? Okay. Yeah, don't these middle workplaces usually have something like a fire barrel? Kind of feels rude that it doesn't. All right, so we will first refuel the lantern. And we will second see exactly how far we can get with this. Fingers crossed. Oh my goodness, that was a close call. That was a really close call. So, note to self, there is exactly 4 hours of light in a lantern. Since the option to break down is added much later, they might have forgotten. It wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, that was close as heck. Also, it's a good thing we have these peaches, because otherwise we'd be dehydrating pretty soon.
Nothing to drink.
I think this should tide us over until we get to the... what's its face? Until we get to the lighthouse. At the very least, there ought to be a ton of water in the lighthouse. Even if the meat that I've cooked there is gone bad. And actually, hold on. I feel like I remember seeing something that I never really used. We'll drop this, and we'll also drop 10 of these scrap metals. And pick those up on the way back. I feel like... Campcraft? Yes, maybe I'll have to see what the deal with the ice fishing hole is. I've never done it before. So we'll see. Well, now I'm regretting not bringing the pry bar along. It's probably better to use hatchets, though, because I remember finding a lot of hatchets along the coast in Desolation Point. Like, a lot of hatchets. Yeah, call me the coal sniffer. Let's just say there was a little bit of puckering happening as I was breaking down that workbench. I was definitely unsure about whether it would happen. It's also kind of a shame, but I feel like that sort of breaking down action, it's not the kind of thing that you can do partially. like 1 hour at a time, for example. Okay. Extinguish you. Do we have anything else to fill you with? Yes, perfect. Look at me planning ahead. It's almost as if this was all by design. It is almost as if it was all by design. What else do we have in here, actually? Fishing tackle, that's fine. Hatchet, that's fine. Kind of busted, though. More scrap metal, we'll take that. And we can put our fuel back in here. 0.00 liters. Probably rounds down. And it looks like it's actually kind of light outside.
I might have to drop some gear.
Which means we can turn off dog mode. There we go. I did not mean to take this as well. Okay, actually the food is pretty good still. And in fact, I'm feeling cheeky enough to leave that water there. I think we'll make it back in time. But I do want to put that lantern down. Just so I don't forget. Alright. Food-wise, actually, the coffee is kind of useful here. But it has been months since we've been back here, and this meat is only at 40%. That's actually kind of pretty good for decay. Kind of very good for decay. You know what? Oh, I didn't put that. I knew there was a climbing rock there, but I didn't put the shortcut. It's not even really a shortcut. It's like climbing down and going straight versus going just a tiny bit around. It seems a little pointless if you ask me. Just a little bit without purpose. Alright, we are hearing a woo in that direction quite far, but not far enough to definitely be on the coast as opposed to on the road.
I need to drop something.
And that is somewhat concerning. Somewhat annoying. Oh, kidoki. What have we got going on here? That's a deer, which means certainly there's no wolf nearby. Although with the background noise of the waves crashing on the coast, I can't tell if I hear a wolf bark or if it's just the waves. I think it's a wolf bark. Alright, what have we got? Nothing. There could be wolves to the right here. Luckily, Mr. Deer will get sniffed before we do. There could also be wolves up on the left, in the cliffs. Alright, I feel like if they were on the right, they would have gotten us by now. And if they were close enough to the left to worry about, they would have gotten that deer. We might be good to just walk straight to the lighthouse. That sounded like a wolf. Did you hear that? There's either a stomach noise. That's a stomach noise. I think we have to, one, take care of this because it's so close, and two, I think this is a third party. Oh yeah. Okay, so there's still our buddy over there. And how about you? How close can we get? We come in behind. Do we? No. I probably should have taken that shot. That's still a lot of meat, actually. To the point where he is certainly going to be coming back quite soon. So... yeah, I think we just need to deal with this guy when he comes back. If he comes back, where is he? Trying to hear his paw pads. He wouldn't have gone around, would he? No, where did Buddy go? Where did Buddy go? Okay, now I really have no idea what to think. He's just gone. Here's something. There he is. Okay. So, I guess let's stack these guys. So here's the plan. We hit this guy. We head over to the lighthouse. Actually, no. We head over just that way broadly and dump a bunch of stuff. Hey, buddy. Come on. Come on. And pop. Well, 10 arrows left. We head over to the lighthouse. Well, towards the lighthouse. We dump a bunch of stuff, probably next to the road here. Like all the coal, mostly. We'll come back and we will pick up that meat, because that's a decent chunk of meat there. I was not expecting that deer to still have 10 kilos on him. And then we'll get some amount of meat from the wolf. Yes, okay, that's a good idea. That does sound like a good idea. We'll drop this stuff, check in the lighthouse for water, head back, harvest, back to the lighthouse, sleep, and that should put us pretty close to somewhere after midnight, I would imagine. Well, actually, maybe closer to early midnight. Did I hear something? No, I think it was just a weird wind noise.
Thirsty.
Unless? What is that? No, it's got to just be a weird wind noise. Yeah, certainly. Certainly. Okay. Let's check the trunk. I used this as a kind of way station when I was dragging things back and forth. Okay, tons of meat actually. Actually, a huge amount of meat and water. We were thinking set up a bot that triggers a short message about, yeah, custom art. So, yeah, honestly, it probably took me longer than it should have. But it's pretty obvious by like the second message if they're like, oh, you know, how are you doing? Or how's the stream going? It's not the kind of thing that I guess an organic question would be about. Actually, there is so much meat here. I'm reconsidering whether or not it's worth going back and harvesting that deer meat. It just seems like such a waste to leave it. Let's see if the bridge is clear first. Or if we have a friend there. The moose is either here. Yep, I see some antlers. I definitely see some antlers, so let's not even poke that. So it's a little bit different because, hey, how's it going is different from how's the stream going. Because, and that's, it's a little bit different, I would say, from just, hey, how's it going? Okay, so because the moose is there, very rudely, that means we have to go down and around this way. So this is a good spot to dump all this coal. Yeah. Coal dumped. We'll head back, harvest, back to the lighthouse. and then go. Yeah, basically it's things like, you know, how's the stream going? How long have you been streaming this? Things like that. What other games do you stream? Like, well, if you scrolled and just, you know, looked at all the little video previews, you would know. Although there have been fewer of those recently, I would say. And the other day, do you remember? There was like 2 or 3 of them at the same time. Yeah, those are the messages you read. Never referencing what's actually happening. They're similar to the point where I do wonder if they're AI. Because every once in a while, they'll ask a question, and I won't directly answer the question. You know, for example, they'll say like, you know, how long have you been playing this game? And I'll do something like I did before, like, you know, it depends on what you mean by that. Can you be more specific? And then they just never... Oh, hello, buddy. Where are you? Come on now. And they'll just never elaborate like I ask. Because it seems like their script, you know, whatever automated bot thing they have, just wasn't programmed to do it. Why do I hear more paw pads to my right? I don't like that. I think we might have to be a little bit quick here. Who did I hear? Do you hear any paw pads? I don't hear any paw pads. But so, to go back to it, there are a couple of times where, and I told you there were 2 guys here, didn't I? There are a couple of times where, you know, they'd ask, you know, how long have you been playing? And I've asked an open-ended question in response and just haven't gotten an answer back. Which makes me wonder if it's automated. Or if perhaps it's, you know, semi-automated. And I definitely heard something to my left here. What the hell was that? What was that?
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
What was that? I'm not going crazy, am I? It couldn't be the bear. The bear's across the bridge and it can't get past the moose. And surely if it were more wolves with 3 scent marks, they would be hunting. Yeah, so my suspicion is there's some kind of response, a very rudimentary response detection that just sort of goes down a script. And this is the tough part, all this meat. Actually, couldn't hurt to have some guts and hide either. I'm sure, I'm actually completely positive there's a huge amount already cured in the lighthouse. But this will just help us get a little bit closer to waking up at dawn. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of automation going on. Because otherwise, how could they all be so similar? It just seems uncanny. No self-promo and then ban those people. True, true. The downside there being, 1, I have to figure out how to make a rule. And 2, I need to tab out and ban things. But yeah, there are probably ways that I just need to think of and try to kind of ameliorate this issue. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm never mad at a suggestion. I'm never mad at a suggestion.
I could barely walk with this much gear.
And again, like I said, it's not that I have a aversion or some kind of, you know, I'm not against the idea of rules. I just don't yet know how to make them or where to put them. So it's not a disaffinity or whatever the opposite of an affinity is. Okay, how heavy are we? 59. Ooh, and we're kind of heavy and fat walking, very slow. But the lighthouse is right there. So we're not going to be suffering for too long. Most of the time, if there are rules, they're so generic you might as well not have them. Yeah, like no typing things that will get people banned or the stream taken down. I don't know, no SQL injections. Things like that. Yeah, be nice. Don't be mean. Don't always use caps lock. Don't spam things 10 times a second. Don't do any DDoSing. Kind of some... Seems like things should be just obvious. But who knows? When I was back and forth here in this region the first time, it was before I had started streaming. But like you saw earlier, I did spend, 2 months here, 2 more months in the coastal highway. So lots of back and forth, getting materials. That's why the stock is so good here. Yeah, reassuring people explicitly mention no sex symbols in their bigotry list, showing they at least consider the existence of women. Yeah, it's like forever. The default on the internet was you assume the person is male until proven otherwise. And I'm pretty sure there's even one of the rules of the internet that covers that exact situation. And I suppose back then the logic was the only reason you would bring up, your sex at all would be for the purposes of an argument. And at that point, if you're bringing it into the argument, you better prove it. But the internet was a different place at that time. Much more Wild West. Okay, then. It's still awkward to go, hey, I'm a woman actually. Like, actually. But yeah, there's definitely... Well, I mean, you never know. You might have, dissociative identity disorder? Yeah, look at all these fish that I probably forgot to cook. Actually, how did I get all these fish here if there's no fishing hole? Is there a fishing hole somewhere? Or did I bring these? No, you know what? I probably found these on the shore because they get washed up every once in a while. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely... I can't remember the last time it mattered, in a discussion on the internet, whether someone was a man or a woman. But people still lose their minds. Okay. And the Riken should be somewhere over there. We came here because we want to find, one, what's the food situation? Not great here. Actually not great at the lighthouse. It's super great over at the car, and that's not far away, so perhaps it's not the worst thing in the world. The food, not the food. The water I think I put in here. Okay, water. Surely there is more than that. Okay, looking good. And does it look even better? Okay, nice. Decent chunk of water here. So, if we slept, we would probably sleep until just after midnight, which isn't great. Not exactly the time of day that I would enjoy waking up. So, it's not sunny enough to use the magnifying lens. I think we're just going to have to suck it up.
That guy who drank his own pee doesn't seem so crazy right now.
Another Bear Grylls reference. We're just going to have to suck it up and cook these things with a match. Okay, and we should be completely safe here. So start fire, match, stick. And you can tell how much stuff I was cooking here because there are two fireplaces right next to each other. And I think we're just going to directly place the meat, as opposed to using the pot to cook things a little bit faster. Start fire and the torch. All right, my favorite cooking mini game, and this is the hard mode because there are 4 slots. We don't need all these sticks. After the whole world is kind of scattered with things, but there is proof that you've been there. Yeah, there's like, you know, all these artifacts that we leave behind. It's simultaneously a little bit depressing in a sense that, you know, we've got all these things, especially when it comes to, or in terms of like, which one is this? This one probably. When it comes to things like, you know, electronics and all of our archives of information. And that fish is extremely heavy. I did not mean to eat that. I did not mean to eat that.
Oh, it hurts.
God damn it. Well, this is why we did keep some of these antibiotics. I just took a nibble, and it was like some bad sushi. Okay. But we are okay, and actually we can move these things manually. Yeah, rip. I think that's the first raw fish I've accidentally eaten, too. Kind of reminds me of that Ozymandias poem, though. You know, look at all of my great works.
Making me feel tired.
And what is it? Gaze upon my glory, my kingdom, and beware, or be fearful, and tremble. Nothing beside remains. Okay. Add fuel.
I'm so tired. I could just lay down.
I'm really hoping the wind isn't picking up. That would be a shame. Oh, come on now. And it's picking up in the wrong direction. No, boo. Boo. Somehow, this game always finds a way to snipe my fires. It just... Luckily, it's not so windy right now. It's probably bad karma for that one deer that I hunted way back in the beginning. But otherwise, I'm just a little innocent little animal, innocent woodland creature. Why can it be mad at me? There's no reason for it to bully me like this. We're still doing all right, though. Ooh. That was either a very loud wave or the wind is picking up. I'm hoping it was a wave, especially because I can't really hear the wind over all this delicious sizzling. Okay, wolf, venison's first.
Feels like night is coming.
Okay, the wind is down. We should be safe. Should be completely safe. As long as we don't let these fires go out. 2.5. Okay, both still have more than 2 hours, which should be at least 2, possibly 3 venisons. I'm not going to mention it. I'm not going to reference it. I'm not going to talk about the existence of air molecules moving collectively. And we'll just, as Slug says, let the universe push the needle into the groove. Sometimes I do have pretty good luck. Okay, you're first. There's one more venison.
My stomach. It hurts.
I thought we fixed this food poisoning. Oh, I guess we also have to rest for 10 hours. Which, what do you know, we're actually fixing to do. Actually, hold on. Why are we missing so much condition? I just realized how much condition we're missing. Let's be a little bit careful here. 14. I think it's this one. And now the fish begins. 45 minutes on the fish. We are going to need to add a little bit more fire to at least one of these. Hour and 19 still? Hour and 5. 3 more fish, huh? We might... We definitely have prepared birch bark. I probably should have drank the burdock tea instead of using the antibiotics, but the antibiotics are also almost ruined, so that's probably fine. We'll make a birch bark tea. Okay, 23 minutes, 10 minutes is the fastest. And now we do fish.
Can't move.
Okay, while these are cooking, I think we're going to... Actually... Where's the food? Drop these guys. We'll limp over here. Stow some of this food. You do need to cook the tea, exactly. I'm thinking of using some of the extra burn time to make some of that tea. We should still have the water for it. But first order business is stowing some of this food here. Of course, we put this fresh cooked food along with this moldy food. That's safe, right? That sounds like a very hygienic thing to do, so I'm okay with that. Okay, 1 minute, perfect. When we were in the mine, and I saw all of the fish oil, all of the lantern oil in those containers, I was wondering how in the heck did I find all that lantern oil here when there's no fishing spot? But it turns out that blizzards blow fish onto shore so much, fish that certainly show up on the shore dead, and they certainly show up on the shore dead entirely because they're probably mercury poisoned to death. So I don't think they're the most healthy thing to eat, as far as things are concerned. Still have a couple more fish, right? One more fish. You need 40 minutes. You don't have 40 minutes. One more cedar. No, a reclaimed wood will do perfect. Yeah, that should do it just fine. Okay, 42, 27, 10, an hour, and... Oh, you even cooked. Nothing bad ever happened from not following proper cooling and storing procedures for meat. Now, cooling and storing procedures. I don't believe in necessarily cooling meat before storing it. Well, that is assuming that you're storing it in a refrigerator or freezer. I don't believe in doing that first. On the one caveat being, the meat is not so warm and so large, it raises the temperature of the fridge or freezer itself, causing other things to warm up and then spoil. But on its own, I don't believe that things are necessarily, and this is of course me just not really knowing Jack from Jack. I don't think you need to cool things if that's not a concern. Comma, fight me. But yeah, normally you would want to cool things just because everything else would warm up. Okay, so we got that. Pick that up. Okay, these things are almost cooked. Okay, we're actually still losing condition pretty fast for ostensibly only being a little bit tired. Okay, we can eat not that much fish.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
So we'll limp over. The one complaint I have about the lighthouse is it's quite dark. It's quite dark inside. And so if you don't know exactly where you're trying to walk, it's very easy to fumble around somewhere. And yeah, that fish is really heavy, huh? It is literally ironic for the lighthouse to be dark. Ironic in the literary sense. All right, but I know that there's a stairs on the right here. We can just kind of go up and use the windows as a reference. And then to the left, we have a bed. So we drink our tea. Where's our tea? Where's the tea? Oh, it's probably medical, right? It is medical. Okay, we drink this delicious tea. And then we drink this delicious water and eat this delicious fish. Actually, I don't think we eat the fish quite yet. All right. We hope we go to sleep and we wake up. Fingers crossed. It didn't look like our condition was going down. I don't think we should die. Hope we don't die. Okay, all right. Practically good as new. Practically as good as new. I did not mean to eat that fish before drinking water. Probably took a condition hit from that. Oh well. Okay, so not much of a condition hit. Very nice. Actually, what do we have in here? Our little cubby hole. Bandages, a little bit of medical. And probably put a couple of birch barks inside, just in case. A bunch of firewood, that's nice. A bunch more coal, take that. Hatchet, of course. More lantern fuel, that's good to have. A little bit of food, a revolver, some scrap metal. I didn't leave any revolver ammo, did I? No, I probably didn't. That's slightly unfortunate. But I suppose we also don't need it. Sticks. Sticks can go outside.
Someone's gotta go.
Spray paint, that's fine. Pry bar, that's okay. If we do decide to open up something in the ice. MRE's good. Hoodie is fine. Yeah, all these are just cloth. Okay, yes. Anything else we'd want to drop here? Antibiotics are good to have. Dressing is good to have. Painkillers are good to have. I think we can leave one of our prepared birch barks here, especially since we have, like, enough birch bark to make 3 more of them. In fact, let's leave 2. Nothing in there, nothing in here. And that's just charcoal and water. Okay, so let's do 2 salmons, even though they're super heavy. Actually, those salmon might be a little bit too heavy to bring along, because we did have all of that coal to pick up. Okay, first order business. We don't need 31 sticks. We probably only need 5 or 6 to start the fire at the... Actually, hold on, let's think. Let's think here. We can use the sticks to start the fire. And if I recall, every single coal will raise the temperature about 20 degrees Celsius.
I'm gonna have to leave something behind.
It takes something like 170 degrees to forge. I'm considering whether or not we want to bring any of these regular firewoods to stoke the fire at low temperatures. I don't think so. I think we have so much coal. We have such an overwhelming amount of coal. What are we carrying that's so heavy? Yeah, the fish really is heavy, huh? What are we still carrying, though? Don't need all these cans. Hacksaw might as well keep. Oh, that's right. The pelts. The pelts and the guts that I always, always, always forget. The moose is still there. I'll tell you a moose story once I finish dropping these things. Actually, speaking of dropping things, I guess I did bring everything back. Well, I guess that would explain why we have such a huge number of cured guts and things over at the main base in the coastal highway. Whoa, what the hell was that noise? Did you hear that? It sounded like some kind of static. Yeah, that was weird. Let's just not think about it. So the first time, yeah, it did sound like an audio. I heard it again. I heard it again. It sounds almost like a staticky noise that this light, for example, would make during an aurora. Let me try to triangulate this. I'm using my headphones to see what direction it's coming from. It might be this light. No? Do you hear that? Just now. It's quiet. It sounds very much like I would expect if this light was flickering on and off. So maybe it's just a little bit bugged. Let's try going in and out to reset it. Okay, I think it fixed. Maybe this thing was just somehow stuck in Aurora mode. Okay, but moose story. The first time I saw a moose is I walked up on it when I was crossing that bridge over there. And then of course I ran away because I was like, oh my god, I don't know what to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with that. And I also didn't have an infinite number of bows and arrows at the time. So I left, you know, eventually spent some time over in this region over here and came to the lighthouse to kind of work on that as a base. And eventually I came back out the lighthouse and I didn't see the moose over there. But eventually I did see the moose on that rock. He would kind of walk a little bit behind the rock and on the lower part of the rock on the left. And the first moose I hunted, I actually just shot a bunch of arrows at it from here, trying to snipe it, aiming super high. And I wasn't able to do it. I hit it a few times, but I mostly missed. And so when I started running out of arrows, I actually ended up going down. Heard it again. Let's ignore it. I ended up going down on that lower rock on the right and kind of hiding and trying to get it, and got a lucky headshot when it started charging this way towards me. Okay, what are we doing? We are, first off, we might be out for a little bit. So let's eat some salmon. And we'll drink some of this water. Okay, yeah, now I think we can probably head over to the Riken quickly. These bridges are very nostalgic to me, and they're so comfortable. Look at how comfortable these bridges are to cross. Even, you know, especially compared to the bridges that were all in Ash Canyon. I was so spoiled back then. Like, look, you can't even see below it through the slats. It's so glorious. It's just so nice. All right. And I believe I dropped all the coal over here. If I can get up. Let's not break an ankle, please. I always remember getting up here was finicky. There we go. And of course it's extremely windy.
Too heavy.
This is where I could use that macro again. Clickety 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 clickety. It's a lot of coal. And we are pretty slow. On the upside, I don't know the proper wolf spawn situation here. There's definitely one wolf location in the south that there can be probably only 2 wolves. There's definitely a location in the north that there can be 2 wolves. Between the bridge and the Hibernia processing plant, I think it's called. That's a little bit farther down the coast. I don't remember if the 2 wolves down the coast are the same as the 2 wolves that would be on the road. So I'm not sure whether or not there's a possibility for wolves on the left here. But if they are, they'll be out that pass and to the left. And where is... Okay, yeah, but the Riken is over to the right here. Oh, you know what? If I was smart, I would have brought an extra fire striker to drop over here at the Riken. Just so we have everything needed inside.
Slow me down.
As opposed to just most things needed. The moose has not relocated still. It's somewhere up on that bridge. Not that I can see it from here. There's the Hibernia. I think I did just hear an awoo quite far in that direction. Okay. Yeah, this is looking good. I have been inside the Riken before, so there's not going to be much loot at all, unless it's something small that I missed. And I don't think I missed much. And somewhere over there, maybe not now because the moose is in the northern spot. There's our wolves. 1, 2. Both accounted for. We can head inside. Actually, can we break these barrels down? That would be a convenient source of... No. It would be a convenient source of scrap metal, but it was not meant to be. Okay, now. If I were a forge, very foolishly placed in the belly of a ship, which is the exact opposite of a place where you would want a very strong fire, where would I be? Probably somewhere in the hold, right? Anything around to be seen? Oh, hello, is that... Ooh, this is very suspiciously shaped. There it is, okay. Okay, so... I definitely did miss this the first time I came here. Lots of charcoal. Okay, so here's the forge. Crates, don't need them. Although they could be decent for reclaimed firewood. I think, where are we? Where's the door? Okay, so here's what we do. We drop all this coal here. Actually, let's think. We have a little bit of fish. We have a little bit of water. We have coal. Tons of coal. And we also have a bunch of scrap metal. I think I think we leave the materials here. And we don't worry about crafting 21 arrowheads quite yet. I think for now we just leave the materials somewhere they're easy to see, maybe. I don't still have a nice source of light, do I? No. So I'm just wondering, are there any containers around here? Even if there were containers, they're probably not big enough to hold all this junk. Half of me has a mind to drop this stuff over here where I can see. I think that's actually the smart thing to do. So we'll drop all the coals here. All 60 coals. Jesus. We'll drop all the scrap metals here. S is for scrap metal, and you're here. And we will drop all the starter fire stuff here. And also... yeah, I guess this fire striker is pretty low condition. It's not the end of the world if we drop it here. Probably. And maybe also some matches. Surely we're never going to use 10 matches here. Okay, and how... we are very light right now. This is very, very pleasurable to be this light and mobile. Okay, so... this is sorted. The furnace has been detected. But for now, I don't think we actually need anything that the furnace could offer us. Did I walk past it? No, it's still this way. Yeah, it gets dark in here, man. Okay. So things to forge. Not an arrowhead. Okay, 2 arrowheads per scrap metal. That's actually pretty nice. Oh, did I drop the heavy hammer? We also want to drop the heavy hammer here. And I did not. So let's do that. And now we're even lighter. Okay. And even... perhaps... I think we also drop the hacksaw. Because who knows if we need to ground up some more metal later. I'd like to put it right in the middle here. There we go. Okay, so this is a pretty good haul in case we ever need to come back. But let's see for now, is there anything that we desperately need to forge? You are not here. Fire hardened arrow is certainly not. Improvised hatchet. We have an ungodly amount of hatchets already. We don't need this guy. Or the knife. You don't need a forge. You don't need a forge. You don't need a forge. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that would be... that we need to forge. Ammunition, woodworking tools... sewing kit, furniture, workbench, woodworking tools, workbench, forge, but don't care about them. Yeah, none of this stuff. None of this stuff needs a forge that we would ever want to make in the future. Okay. Okay, I think we're set here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're set. So, with that there, let's make sure we put a mark here. What do we want to put here? How is that a clothing mark? I guess it looks kind of like a t-shirt. What would we call this? We would call this, I guess, tools. No, no, don't go inside. I did not mean to transition there. Okay. Here, tools, confirm, and right there. And the weather is nice, so we can even put this on the map. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, I think we can actually head back now. We can head back, we can grab the scrap in the mine. And we can get the workbench vice. Yeah. Because once that situation is set, we'll pretty much have everything we could ever want as close as we could ever get it to our main base at the Misanthrope's homestead. I don't know if that was the awoos over there or if there are new awoos back on the road. So we'll have to be a little bit careful heading back. Yeah, it's noon. How far is there to walk, really? You know, as light as we are, we can probably one-shot this. Especially if we pick up a little smackerel. I don't even think we need food from the trunk of the car. Yeah, worst case scenario, we've got 2 candy bars. Okay, we're gonna one-shot this on the way back. Easy one-shot. Man, you know, for the longest time, before I'd made the first moose-hide satchel, and especially before we found that really nice backpack in the mine up in Ash Valley, I would spend a lot of time, and I mean a lot, walking around as slow as a snail from being so over-encumbered because there's so many things that I would want to carry around. So I'm always inordinately pleased when I can walk at a fast speed and get that speed bonus from walking on a proper road. Might as well take a bear meat. Yeah, look at all this moose. I didn't even eat all the moose meat. We're probably not going to need the water. Probably won't even need the bear meat, honestly. Okay, you know what? When I fought those wolves earlier, yeah, I definitely forgot to use the correct bow. Yeah, it's like an extra 50% at this point with all 3 bonuses active. You wouldn't think that each 5 kilograms is so important, but it's like it is a qualitatively different experience almost. Just to have that tiny little bonus. You know what? There is one spot on this coastline I do want to swing by and check for good stuff. Usually it's got... Ooh, this is in the way, is it? Usually this spot that I'm looking for, it's by a little rabbit grove. It should be just on the other side of these rocks. Right here. No, here. Right by this inlet. There's a washed up boat. And it's usually got a hatchet there. It's usually got some pretty good stuff. I'm also hoping maybe for some fishing line. Maybe some hooks. If one is to dream. Yeah, right there. A paddle. Seems like there's always a paddle there, but sometimes there's also a little fishing boat. Usually there are rabbits in this little inlet. Huh. I guess we haven't been in this region long enough for any blizzards to have blown anything across. Because there is nothing here. Like, absolutely nothing. That's a disappointment. Okay, well, the silver lining is it wasn't too far out of the way. Okay. This little path here is super steep. It's always a little bit concerning. Actually, how heavy are we? We have 15 kilograms of carry weight. There's not a wolf around here, right? Okay, there's a deer, so there's no wolf. I think maybe we start acquiring some cedar. What's our... We have like a bajillion hatchets. So I'm not even mad about using this hatchet condition. Yeah, because we are going to need a bunch of cedar to make these, you know what I mean. To make these tables. Okay, let's estimate the vise at 2 kilograms, and 10, what is that? And 10 scrap metals is going to be 1.5 kilograms, so 3.5. We can actually do quite a good deal more cedar. We can find the limbs to break down. There we go. At this rate, definitely going to have to take a quick nap inside the cave, inside the mine. But I get the feeling that
It's dusk.
picking these things up is definitely worth it. That sounds like a blizzard. That's a blizzard. Okay, well. How many cedars do we have? We have 18. There are a handful at least of fallen limbs over on the Misanthrope Homestead Island. And I'm also not seeing any extra limbs on the ground here. My one regret is not going back and checking for anything getting blown up onto the shore. That spot. Is this it? I think this is our turn, right? Yeah. I recognize this truck. Okay. We just skew left. And if we're cheeky enough, maybe we even... How close are we to being wet? Kind of close. Well, I'm feeling brave. Ooh. And of course it got too dark, so that was a complete waste. And we're getting a little bit frozen, a little bit hypothermia. And maybe I got turned around a bit.
Goddamn freezing.
No, this way. Okay, I recognize the location, and we should be fine. I feel robbed, though. We were 3/4 of the way into breaking that down. It should have given us at least 2 cedars. I don't think it gave us any cedars. Nope. Let me over, please. And honestly, if we're taking the nap, might as well sprint. Might as well. Almost. Figuratively, there's no downside. Literally, figuratively, there's no downside here. Alright. Now, water-wise, could use a little bit more. Just a smidge. And this is why I always try to keep a bedroll on me. You never know when you'll want to take a nap. Eat the rest of the fish. And actually, somehow we got hungry enough to eat that bear. Somehow or another. Alright. We can sleep. We don't need to sleep the whole night away. Maybe just 6 hours. 7 hours. Actually, 7 hours probably as much as we can sleep anyway. Alright. It is near, but not quite dawn. It'll probably hit dawn once we start getting into... I put this on the crate, didn't I? Storm lantern on the crate. Yes, where'd it go? There. Alright, first off, let's bring this lantern oil to the other side, because I remember I took all the lantern oil to fill up the lantern to break down the thing. So we'll bring the lantern oil across and we'll dump it on the containers. And also, we have so much free carry weight. Well, I guess not too much at this point, but it couldn't hurt to bring some of the coal, even though I'm pretty sure one of our containers has 60 coal back at the Misanthropes homestead. Some unreasonable amount of coal. Uh-huh. Alright, now show me what I'm really here for. Which is not even that coal. That coal is not handsome enough to tempt me. There we go. Here are the goodies. The vice. It was 2 kilograms. So I did remember correctly. Alright. And we are barely over encumbered. So it's like we're not even over encumbered when it comes to walk speed. My favorite kind of speed. Yeah, imagine being 15 kilograms over encumbered, walking super slow and also having to crouch and go under these long little tunnels. It's definitely brutal. Alright, here we go. Okay, let's extinguish you. What is the... I suppose we can put it in this. Yeah. Storm Lantern and Lantern Fuel can go in here. Excellent. And now we're under encumbered. The blizzard has also stopped. The one downside, well, there's possible fluffiness in yonder hills. So we'll do, oh my goodness, actually, in this case, canine mode is actually harder to see. I don't know how that's true, but it is. I suppose there's a little bit of green background, and I think human eyes are very optimized to see green things, green hues and colors. I want to just skew on the right here, and with luck, we'll be able to avoid these wolves. They may be in this clearing that we're in. They may be over on the... basically at our 9 o'clock right now. There's the rest of the road. There might be slightly across that. They may also be on the other side of this big rock up here, past these buildings that are in this pass. If they are, I think I hear an awoo extremely far away. They may already be trapped in the lowlands. Yeah, I hear an awoo extremely far away. I think they're already trapped back there. But if they're not, there should be a cellar here somewhere we can duck into, if we need to. It's probably by the fire. Yeah, there's my storage shelter, storage shelter slash cellar waypoint. Okay, I think we made it. Might still be something on the left here, but for now I think we made it. Yeah, surely this is fine. Overcast, just before dawn. It's even hard for me to see. I think somehow or another, the recording gets darker when I see it, you know, when I see the recording back, so it's probably really dark for anyone watching. Okay. Now, we're back in Coastal Highway. there's only two things that can get in our way right now. One, there's a possibility that the bear travels east from its cave underneath Misanthropes towards us. Two, there could be wolves in the ice to the left. If the bear is traveling towards us, I'm going to want to detour around to the left to go around it. But if the wolves are there, that is complicated. I think what we do, just because these hills are a little bit scary, is we head down to the coast here. With any luck, I'll be able to see the wolves before they see me. Despite the vision challenge situation here, I at least have a little bit of contrast between the ice and the horizon. And that's where the wolves would show up. And vision is not great. There is a bit of fogginess going on. But it's not so foggy that I will miss Misanthropes Island, which I have done before. Skewing over too far right and following the coast, and just walking straight past it. Now, that is definitely an awoo that I heard to the left, which comports with exactly what we saw on the way out. Yeah, there's an awoo, and there's an awoo. Luckily, if the bear was here, it would be somewhere on this patch of ice. So if we can get up into these, between these rocks basically, should be safe. I've never seen the bear actually come up the rocks. I've only seen it walk around the rocks to the ice, into the buildings over there, and then go out farther north on the ice. Neither of those are our problem. Not a single one of them. But I am always a little bit concerned. Okay, I don't hear anything. Still don't hear anything. Alright, I think we're good. Yeah. Yeah, we're fine. We're definitely fine. And we can also take account of some of the cedar limbs that we see on the way. There should be at least a few, if not on the way up the hill, at the top of the hill. The snow's kind of acting like a sort of visual static, makes it hard to see. Nothing really. Okay, here's one. Actually, can we break this down? Oh, wow. Oh, come on now. You let me break it down for like 5 minutes and then you stop? Alright, we have at least 2 limbs here. And of course a blizzard arises. But we're home. We are home. The Amber Fairy, welcome. Welcome to the stream that is the black screen, aka nighttime. I mean, it's going fine. Pretty well. Actually, kind of doing pretty good currently on account of we're pretty much done with everything I wanted to do. This is a game that has an open-ended survival mode, and we're pretty much done with all of my objectives therein. So we can almost put a pin in this. But not before we pseudo-dehydrate. Have you played The Long Dark before? I think you pretty much understand my situation. Basically just kind of looking at what's going on here. If you have played it before. You haven't? Well, I do recommend it. If you enjoy a sort of, it's kind of chill, but also kind of terrifying,
I'm not
cozy,
sure I can carry.
survival sort of Canada simulator is maybe a good way to put it. So I do recommend trying it. If you can pick it up on sale for like $5 or something, it'd be pretty good. Okay, so the actual last things to do are, let's try to make one of these workbenches. It's going pretty well. There's actually been a surprisingly low number of hiccups or otherwise panic moments so far. So it's been going pretty well. All right, now, where would I put this workbench? Well, I guess let's find out. What happens when you try to make it? Uh-huh. Yeah, furniture workbench. I guess we can just make it, right? We can do all 4 hours. Large completed and in progress are added to the furniture workbench container. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, I made it myself. It's actually, you can see there's a lot of rough edges. And I have been meaning to
I can barely walk with this
do
much
some
gear.
things. Make some changes. But I haven't gotten around to it. Maybe one of these days I'll do a Blender stream. Okay. So, am I forced to place this, or I wonder... Okay, we don't have to place it. Can we place it outside? Yes? No, hold on. First off, let's see, is that in our inventory? It is in the inventory, and it's quite heavy. So, we will leave customization. Oh no, don't say that. I don't like workbenches indoors. Drop? No. No. Okay, well, it's not the worst thing in the world. The only downside, really, like I've been saying this whole time, Gecko, is that indoors, the lighting situation is not as good. I don't think this place even has a fireplace. So, the Amber Fairy, I am not your clientele. Part of the reason I'm doing this as a hobby is because I like making things myself. So, the short answer is no. Alright, let's see. I guess Y, right? How do we place? Clear junk. How do I place this? Oh, place.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Yeah, sort of a FAQ. Yeah, that would make sense. I guess we could put the workbenches up here. In this little alcove, huh? At least for now. Let's see, I wonder. If I place this, can I move it? Do you know? I suspect I should be able to. Can I move this? I can only destroy the bench. If I'm not in that mode, can I break down the bench? Yeah, why would I want to destroy the bench when I can break it down and get things? Okay, let's think. What's a convenient spot for this workbench? Let's think here. You know what? I kind of want to break down some of these. This is a cabinet, so that doesn't get broken down. Oh. 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 That's a brain blast. Okay, so bearskin bedroll can go over here. The bench, we can just toss into a corner or something. Preferably somewhere, you know what? This bench is inconvenient. Let's actually just break it down. I'm kind of sad we can't do this by hand, because I don't like using hatchet condition, but again, we have infinite hatchets, so why am I worried about that? It's only 2%. Okay. Now, not that.
I'd eat snow
here.
if the hypothermia
This
wouldn't kill me.
place. Perfect. Place you here, even though we can't have it be... I guess we can have it be nice and aligned. Okay, you go there. I guess we can put a workbench right here. Yes. Cannot destroy... No, I wouldn't want to destroy a container anyway. Where's my water? Freezer. Yes. The water situation is getting a little bit on the low side, though. So we'll have to be a little bit careful. Alright. Pick that up. Break you down. Wait, wasn't it a lot less time for the other workbench? Or for the other bench to break down? I feel like 2 hours and change is kind of steep. Okay, so now actually... Yes. This is, I think... workbench. 18 hours. That's kind of rough. That is kind of rough. Let's do... Well, let's first see if it will even let us do it in the dark. 4 hours. It will let us workbench it. You know what? I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. Okay. Let's stumble our way upstairs and sleep. Alright, bed. Sleep. If we get an aurora, we can continue working. If we don't get an aurora... Yeah, so the first thing I made was the woodworking bench. And the one I'm trying to make now is the regular workbench. Which is the only thing, materials-wise, crafting-wise, that this place doesn't have. Well, I suppose other than a lathe and a mill. But I don't think you can move those. I guess an ammunition workbench would be nice to have too. But I don't know if you can move those either. What was I doing? We were... probably... passing time. Until the morning. Practically like real time here. Brutal. Brutal. Right, and we can sleep for probably 2 hours. And we'll be in pretty good shape. Oh, different breakdown times. Actually, yeah, no, hold on. Back up. What you're talking about was like the couches. Like the couch that was here and the couch that was here. And maybe you're right. Maybe one was metal and one was wood. I wasn't paying attention.
I might have to drop some gear.
Actually, we can find out. How many scrap metals do we have? We still only have 10 scrap metals. And we got those 10 scrap metals from the mine. So it really was just a wood workbench. Not a wood workbench. A wood bench, like you sit on it bench, not like you use it bench. Wait a second. Why is something missing? Why is something missing? Question mark? I do not know. I guess we're gonna have to try looking for one. Check all the containers. Unless they put containers in containers? I don't see one of those boxes. Well, we already got a save when we re-entered.
Wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Nothing out here. Actually, you know what? Let's try reloading the save and see if it does anything. I don't have high hopes. No. Well, that is what we call a tricky puzzle. That is very mysterious. So the the woodworking bench was fully finished and fully placed. That only took like 4 hours to make. Where is it? W is for woodwork bench. No, it's furniture. F is for furniture bench. Yeah. So this only took 4 hours to make, and we placed it, and we started the workbench. And that we only got about 40 minutes into before it got dark. So that was partially made. Sometimes when items glitch out, they get put into containers, so maybe it's somewhere. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking of looking in these things. So I guess let's check. I don't really know what it would look like.
Too much stuff to carry.
So let's not be too quick. Although I suppose it would be obvious based on how heavy the container is. Right, not here. Oh, I didn't realize we had so much scrap metal. Actually, we can probably put all the extra scrap metal here. These should already be full of crafting materials. Yep. Yep. And yep. And yep. I don't know if you remember old school Bethesda games like Morrowind or Oblivion, but if you dropped enough things on the ground inside a building, eventually the game wouldn't be able to handle that many, that many loose items. It wouldn't keep track of them, and it would gather every item that you dropped above a certain threshold into what it would call an overflow loot bag. I'm wondering if that's what just happened. If there's so many saplings, delicious saplings, so many delicious cured guts and hides, and other assorted delicious things on the ground, perhaps it's just too many things on the ground and the game just deleted some of the extra things. Okay, in the clothing bin, no. Nothing else here. In the tiny plastic container, no. In the bedroom dressers, no. In the other bedroom dresser, also no. Generally, a game mechanic to put buggy items into specific containers, but you don't know if it applies to furniture. Well, I guess based on this, it probably does apply to furniture, huh? Okay, well, I'm going to call this a success. I'm going to call that objective completed. All right, and let's drop you, toss you over here somewhere easy to see, and let's get a little bit more food and water, just to get our condition nice and high. Delicious bear, delicious, scrumptious Winnie the Pooh.
Something's gotta go.
And the weather turned nice. And that's a new bird noise I don't think I've heard before. Okay. I dare not press R and clear the junk. Anything maybe in the inventory now? No. Shipwrecked. I wonder if anything is perhaps highlighted. Although it's not looking hopeful. Oh, we already checked that's empty. Yep, I guess it's gone. Well, really the only thing that is disappointing to miss is that workbench vise. Because if we try it again, we'll have to find another one. All right, well, at any rate, that's kind of the, yeah, F's in chat for all that cedar and all that stuff. But that's kind of the only thing that I was intending to do. And it did take longer than expected. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's drop all this extra cedar here. And all this reclaimed wood can go outside. And drop. And of course the nice weather went away. Okay, so that's pretty much the objectives that I had for today. So I think maybe we'll call it here. It has been a little bit more than 3 hours. I thought this certainly wouldn't take more than an hour and a half to do. We're just walking a little bit, right? It always takes longer in this game. So next time I think we'll try starting the challenges. We'll see. Maybe sometime tomorrow-ish in the afternoon. I haven't decided. I haven't checked my schedule. But until then, I think we'll call it here. I'll just kind of sit around in this delicious blizzard. Okay, we did dry off. Well, hey, thanks for showing up and chatting, so I wouldn't have to stream of consciousness things myself. All right, so, and who knows, maybe the game, if it spends a little bit of a time in a timeout, will decide not to actually eat our workbenches. But all right, we have a black screen in the background. I guess that's fine. But for now, I've been Yuchi, and I've been trying to make some workbenches. It hasn't been working out. And I'll see you on the proverbial flip side.